From Houston, from the space city to the world, you are watching NowMedia Television.
Hi, welcome to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager, and I'm so excited about this show today. Well, let's kick it off a little bit. We're going to talk about strategy. Last week we started talking about the 6 cylinders of business and what we need to do to actually, run a business. And the number one cylinder you've got to put together in your business is strategy. And strategy, we got to look at 2 types. We got short-term and long-term. So we've got to start with long-term first, because once we figure out exactly where we're going, we can bring it back and put in the little short-term things that we need to do to make sure we're staying on track. Because I'm going to tell you, as a business grows, a business does not grow in a straight line. A business grows by ups and downs, and things happen, and we just don't really know what's going to happen. We've got to be able to pivot and move and make things happen to keep the business going in the right direction. So let's talk about long-term strategy. A lot of business coaches out there will tell you, hey, let's look at 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. That's nice, and that's wonderful, but I'm going to tell you, we really can't plan 10, 12 years. I've got a 12-year-old son, and the day he was born and who he is now, nothing is, I projected as a dad or what I wanted or what I was looking at. And, life happens. But I can tell you what, we can really see as a business owner, we can see 3 years down the road. So I like to tell my clients, let's figure out where we want to be in 3 years. All right? 3 years, where would we like to be? So what we can do from then is we can reverse engineer that into where do we need to be in 2 years? Where do we need to be in 1 year? And then we can take that 1 year and we can cut that down into 90-day chunks. 90-day chunks is something that businesses can really get their head around. We can put together what we call goals. I call them goals, rocks, tasks. Goals, rocks, and tasks. Goals are the big things that we want to have. The rocks are the things that we need to accomplish, and the tasks are the things that we need to get there. So the tasks, they're usually things that have to get done in 7 to 14 days. The rocks are something that needs to be get done in about a month, and the goal is something that needs to be get done in about 3 months. So those are the things that we want to look at. So as business owners, we got to break down our business from something big to something small and manageable. They always say, if you want to eat an elephant, how do you do it? 1 bite at a time. That's where we go ahead and we go looking at the strategy and say, what bite do we got to take? When do we got to take it? How do we take it? Who takes it? That's what's most important. So I'm Michael Rager, your business guide. We're going to be back, and we're going to have a great show for you today here on NowMedia TV and Business Talk TV. Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager, and we're ready. We got a new guest with us today. We got Anar Mamadov. Anar, how are you today?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. So you're a supply chain expert, and we're coming out of some things right now, and supply chain is up and down. For most businesses, how is the supply chain functioning right now? Are we getting better? Are we getting worse? What's going on?
So definitely, supply chain industry is growing very fast. This is 100%, and each year the growth is more than 140%. But overall, it's interesting industry. There's a lot of problems, issues, and challenges that need to be considered. Right now, answering to your question, most of the companies are considering recession periods exist. They're considering the efficiency. And most important things like, save the cost. And again, it depends on which supply chain industry you're, because it's pretty much general wording. So it can be like middle mile, last mile delivery industry, etc. So all of those businesses are trying to like retailers, B2B, warehouses, different 3PLs. They're trying to do efficiency first of all, and the second, try to scale and grow their businesses. That's actually what we have seen, and basically, whenever we're implementing this, the new tools and innovation, and it definitely to make prepare for the supply chain crisis, whatever. Innovation is much more important. That people need to implement special tools accordingly.
Okay, well, you're talking about innovation, and one of the big things going on right now is AI. How does AI help companies with supply chain?
Well, so AI is like artificial intelligence actually implemented specific for the B2B business pretty much long time. Like maybe like right now it's hot topic because of ChatGPT and like it's kind of B2C, but so definitely we are even the firms we implementing those AI tools for optimization of the routes, definitely like how to make sure it's efficient routes properly scheduled within a less time windows, within more resources to fulfill the efficiency of the delivery process and optimization of those supply chain routes. And the second is AI pretty much implemented for the customer support and customer care purposes. And plus it's also implemented for special data analytic dashboards and getting more insights about like real-time behaviors of the, let's say, customers, real-time behaviors of the drivers, if that's we're talking about the supply chain,
Well,
and
that's
see
awesome.
what's how the efficient it is. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of us, we think of AI and that's all we think about is ChatGPT and stuff
Yeah.
like that to help us write stuff. But AI goes much deeper, and it sounds like your industry is really looking for that. So let me ask you this. I was on a panel discussion yesterday, and we were talking about a construction project. And one of the guys said, hey, you need some air conditioning units. Your project's going to be done in 2025. You should order them now. When companies, depending on the industry, how far out should companies start preparing to order supplies and get things in so they can actually be effective and have stuff when they need it?
Well, that's a great question. So, be honest. Again, depends on if you are taking your use case in the construction industry. Again, we need to go in details, understand a bit more requirements, because, like, if we're considering the supply chain, we need to consider the different level of the supply chain. Like, again, I'm telling you, like, it can be like middle mile, last mile, or it can be interstate or like country-wise supply chain, or like the delivery process. But first, you need to consider implement a proper internal system on the way of like which products are you need right now and which products you need later. This is the one thing. And based on that, you need to do proper planning of your items and the products that's supposed to be, let's say, delivered to you. And based on that, whatever you're using for your construction business, that's actually what we're doing. And even we work with a similar construction, actually retail businesses who we're delivering for them. And for them, their requirements as well. They're saying, okay, depends on the price wise. Again, if we're talking about if you want to deliver a bit cheaper, so in that case, it takes a bit more while and more time, make those things done. But or it can be like on-demand implementation. So it's not based on your point. It's not they have to wait for a while for like 2-3 years. Definitely, they need to implement proper planning system and make sure it's properly, the supply chain products delivered to them, and they're just using it accordingly to that.
Well, supply chain is all about logistics and planning. And so
Yeah.
how important is it that leadership understands what's going on, and how do they help companies function to be more effective in times like this when there may be supply chain issues?
Yeah, so like overall, if you're like a business owner and you have like supply chain is a part of that. So first of all, and it's needs to be fully properly planned and scheduled and fully integrated with the existing management tools that any company they have. This is the one thing, and based on that integration purposes, they have to make sure it's correctly planned, correctly scheduled, correctly controlled. There's pretty much good insights and data analytics behind of that, and based on that, efficiency will be there. And based on that, they will get real the value accordingly, and they don't need to wait a pretty much long time again.
So, should companies be preparing for more supply chain outages just in case certain things happen, or should they just be, flexible, so to speak?
So, like, definitely efficient planning, one of them. Second is efficiency of the proper route plannings and optimization things they need to do for whatever, again, which industry they're talking about. And third is definitely there's need to be um, like real-time insights of the implementing the machine learning and data analytic dashboards and tools. They have to see insights of what's going on in supply chain. In that case, there will be no big problem and issues, and it needs to be again interrelated with the other tools exist. Like again, it can be like internal ERP tools, it can be internal like accounting management tools, etc. But supply chain needs to be part of that to get more insights from the different verticals and give much more efficiency.
Well, that sounds really interesting. And so if a business owner is looking at supply chain issues and they need some help, how do they get a hold of you so you can help them out?
Yeah, so definitely I can be reached out through LinkedIn or through our website, sempex.com. It's also mentioned here. But as an expert in that industry, almost doing like 18 years, I will tell, like, first of all, they need to get some kind of outside consultancy to understand overall how make proper planning, because it's very unique industry and it's unique things there, specifically about the pricing, specifically about like proper optimization things. Because again, we're in the service industry, so it's better to get a much more initial consultancy and then definitely implement whatever the projects they had accordingly.
Awesome, awesome, man. This is a great subject. I hope that in the future we can dig a little bit deeper into it and how it really affects day to day, especially as small business owners. So thanks a lot, Anar. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to having you back here and talk some more about this. So I'm Michael Rager, your business guide. We're going to be back with more Biz Talk TV right after this. Hey, are you a small business owner that's struggling to double or triple your revenue and profits? My name is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide with Teach Your Business to Fish. Our success operating system will help you double or triple your profits every 2 to 3 years while actually maintaining some semblance of a home life. Call us at 713-201-5559 and we'll help you become a real success. Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager. We've got her. She's back. Our favorite coach, Katrin Becker. Katrin, how are you today?
I am great, Michael. Always a pleasure to be here.
All right. So how are the chickens doing? We had a
They're
storm
doing
last
great.
night. How are they doing?
The heat is affecting their egg production. That is for sure. It ties in with supply chain issues. If I'm selling eggs, I don't have a very good supply right now.
Well, that's good. That's good. All right. Today we're going to talk about potential. Potential is an interesting thing. I think everybody's got it, but it's how do we bring it out of people?
Well, and the reason that this topic was really germane to me this week is it's been coming up a lot with my personal clients. I work with a lot of high achievers, and there's a lot of intrinsic motivation that they have to succeed. And what I noticed with working with all of them, and something that I experienced myself, is being told you have a lot of potential. Like, it's almost like, the phrase that good is the enemy of great. Yep. I feel like there's something there with potential, and maybe success is the enemy of potential, because, you have these small successes and then people start to take notice and they're like, wow, they have a lot of potential to do even bigger or better things. But sometimes when we get that first sort of taste of success, we become comfortable, we become complacent. We don't continue to push those boundaries. And I experienced that in the workplace, that, you get this praise, you're doing really well. And then you feel like, oh, I guess I can kind of sit back on my laurels a little bit and rest. But really, how can employers have those really high achieving employees in their workforce? How do they get them over that kind of hump?
Well, some of the things I look at in talking with that, since I deal with that with some of my clients, is with business owners and people, when they're successful, we want to kind of occasionally ride them like a Pony Express pony. We're going to ride them till they break. So when you're hearing that about potential, sometimes I don't think people today are allowed to relax and enjoy the fruits of success, are they?
No, I think they are in most of the case. I think from an employer perspective, and times when I was a supervisor and had people as well, you've only got so much attention that you can deliver. And if your high achievers are going and doing what they do and being successful and, taking the vision that you have outlined and taking the ball and running with it, then great, you can divert your attention into other places. And so what I think happens is you're not able to ride them consistently, right? That you have to focus attention on maybe other, players within your organization, within your team that aren't quite meeting the bar, and being able to sort of ride them. And then that's kind of when you see this complacency come in. And there's several factors as to why someone who's a high achiever, and hearing that sort of word potential with all of the expectations that come with it. It's very laden with expectations, that it can really be a place where there's any sort of self-doubt or fear of failure that exists within their mindset. It can really come out hearing that potential of like, what if I don't live up to it? And really bring out anxieties and fears that people might not realize they have.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You got that imposter syndrome and all of that. But how do you relate potential and the increase of potential to momentum? Because I think they're really related, because momentum's a big thing. Is once you've got it, you've got to ride it like a Pony Express pony, because once you lose it, it's hard to get back. And so how do you relate those two things together?
Well, I mean, as engineering background, it all comes back to physics. And a great sort of mental way that you can understand this is because in physics terms, you have potential energy and you have kinetic energy, and you have inertia, which is overcoming that to get to your momentum. So it's how do you overcome that inertia? So if you look at like a steam engine, it takes so much power, so much coal to get that steam engine up to where it needs to be. And you can see them when they're at this, train station, that there's just smoke billowing and billowing out as they're getting ready to go. And it's a very slow start as they overcome that inertia. But then once that steam train is going, it just rides. It can able to take that potential energy into kinetic energy and just go with that momentum. But it's getting that up to where that is, and really understanding what it is your people need. Like, what sort of affirmations or recognition do they need from you? Is it monetary? Is it public recognition? What is their intrinsic motivators to help stoke that internal fire and keep it going?
Yeah, so how do we take that? Those are important things. I think motivational factors with business people are great. How do we continually take that to help people, get over that plateau time, to get over that little rest time to go? Because we don't want to burn our people out. We really want to push them their potential. And one of my favorite sayings is you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's the only way to, get your potential, right?
Exactly. Comfort zones are a huge place where we are not growing. We are not pushing ourselves to the edge, because edges are rough. They are painful. They are something that people try to avoid. We don't like to get scraped up. And it comes a lot to culture. I mean, it always comes back to what is the culture that you are fostering within your team, within your organization, that allows people to feel comfortable in discussing areas where they feel burned out. What other backup plans do you have? Are they feeling like the entire thing is on their shoulders, or are there other members with which they can carry the load? And, many hands make light work.
I know right now I've got a client they're growing like crazy, and I've got to force the managing partners to take a break. It's like, hey, you guys got to get out. You got to take a break. You're gonna kill yourself. It's all good. You've built a great team, so you can go there. And I think that's where we go in and build a culture, because the culture is about a team. It's not one person doing it. It's building that. And as a business owner, if we can ride the waves of our people as where they're supposed to go, that can really keep that wave going a lot longer than just riding one person, right?
Oh, absolutely. And are you familiar with NBA coach Phil Jackson? He was the
Yeah.
one that led Michael Jackson with the Chicago Bulls and then
Michael
Kobe
Jordan.
Bryant
Yeah.
with the LA Lakers to all of their championships. I mean, he has the most NBA championships out of any coach. So it's really great, especially, as coaches like us, even though we're coaching in a different way, the fundamentals are still there. So I like to study from the best. And one of the things that he really talks about is how much potential he was able to see within Scottie Pippen and some of the other members of the Bulls. And so it was kind of pulling back Michael Jordan and saying, listen, we need you to support these other players so that they can reach their potential. Because when it was just Michael Jordan as being the star, they were able to get to championships, but they weren't able to win.
Yeah. It's really interesting when you're looking at team dynamics and stuff like that. And there's a lot of times that one superstar stud, he wants to throw everybody on his back, and there's times they need to do that. But there's other times you got to go ahead and make everybody else look good. I think that's, here in Houston, I think a lot of Houston people can refer to James Harden, and that's where I see a guy like James Harden really struggles. He never makes anybody else look good when he's struggling. He's not good at that. So, Kat, we're coming up on the end of our 9 minutes here. It's quick. It always happens. How do people get a hold of you when they want to go ahead and start looking at potential and growing potential within their team?
The best way is to reach out to me through my website at optimizewe.com, where we can move you from a me culture to a we culture. You can reach me at kat@optimizewe.com. And I love that they're showing the picture. There's me with Phil Jackson last year. So that ties in beautifully to the last story.
There you go. I think it's awesome. Kat, it's always a good time. I love talking to you. Take care of those chickens and don't let the thunderstorms, take care of those little babies. All right?
Thank you.
All right. Well, this is Michael Rager, your business guide here on Biz Talk TV on the NowMedia Television Network. We're going to be back with more right after this. Hey, are you a small business owner that's struggling to double or triple your revenue and profits? My name is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide with Teach Your Business to Fish. Our success operating system will help you double or triple your profits every 2 to 3 years while actually maintaining some semblance of a home life. Call us at 713-201-5559 and we'll help you become a real success. Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager, and we've got a new guest, and you can see by this new purple logo, we've got something interesting we're going to talk about. So, Elenia, how are you today?
I am fabulous. Thank you, Michael, for having me on.
Now, this has got me excited. Purple politics. So tell me about this. Where did this come from?
Background. I am first generation U.S. from Cuban refugees and raised Republican, and I am still technically an R. But what I've seen, especially in, say, last 15 to 17 years, is that our politicians have relegated their duties to what the leadership demands and what the lobbyists provide, rather than bringing back a collaborative nature and doing what's best for the citizens. It is we the people. We the people are the ones who elect them. We the people are the ones that are the bosses. However, we have forgotten our own voices as well. And especially now you can see it, that this divisiveness that has been created, where I believe it's more media-led and talking point-led than in reality, but I am witnessing families that are being destroyed by politics. And that used to not be the case. It used to be, yes, you may be a D, you may be an R, you may be an I, but we respected each other's opinions. We worked together for the better of our communities, our families, or our country. And it seems more and more prevalent that rather than trying to go across the aisles, actually have good conversation and build something that would benefit our country. It is just only the very extreme views that are getting the most attention. I always go back when I talk about this with friends that we are in long need for a third party. And I have been called a rhino. I have been called a Democrat in Republican clothing. And I'm like, no, I am an American. It does not matter what my the little parenthesis says behind my name. I am an American. And what I believe in is this country's ability to provide that true dream. I am a product of an American dream. I see the work and the ability of clients and family friends in overcoming great challenges and achieving so much. I always look to my father. I mean, he came here with a wife, a baby, no money, not knowing the language, and he was able to create not only a corporation, but he provided myself and my two siblings an amazing life, education, opportunities for advancement. And his legacy lives through me, and it will live through his grandchildren, in that he started something and we wish to grow that. And how best to create or to foster a better legacy than reminding the people that we are here together to be able to uplift our communities, to break these silos that are really more recently created, and it fosters that warring confrontation aspect rather than a collaborative and with decorum. And that's where my belief is. I've been on a soapbox about this for some time now, but even now more so, I am finally able to bring forth my voice and hoping to empower others to take back what was once civility in our nation.
Yeah, I see it right now, and I totally agree with you. I think it's our politicians forget that they're elected, but they still represent everybody in their district or wherever they're at. And it's not to force those people to go to their points of view. It's to start looking at the people and what the people really want. So you said this has gone back a long time. How long have you seen it being an issue? Because I know we talked before we got on camera, and I kind of agree with you about when I think it started. And I'll share with you after you share that why I think it started.
Okay, so I have been noticing it and more vocalizing it, especially here in Florida, because we had the Republican Party has a supermajority at this point, but it was definitely a stronghold back in the early 2000s. And I started seeing that it was very much, if you didn't go the leadership way, you were punished. These are our elected officials. They're voicing, their opposition to certain things or trying to suggest a different avenue, and they're being shut down because the leadership said so. And that was a problem. And then I want to say it was in the second term of President George W. Bush that you started seeing our congressional members stop playing with each other, basically. I mean, we teach children in nursery school that they are to play together, they're to share, to be open. And I would say probably 2007, there was definitely this denigration of communication. The times of when Ronald Reagan, he had Tip O'Neill. You had these great collaborations between different opposing parties working together for the betterment and advancement of policies that were for the good of the whole. And I always go back to, it was Betty Ford's funeral, and it was a eulogy. And the eulogy was done by a daughter of a Democratic whip that served at the same time as Henry Ford. And she shared stories of how, though former President Ford, then, a congressional member, and her father were always debating against each other and, putting forth their arguments on the floor of the Capitol, but that they created this great bond because they knew that they had to come back together and through cordial conversation, find a meeting ground that would help advance policies that would be for the benefit of this country. And she even shared how they ended up, their families became longtime friends. They would have Sunday dinners together. I mean, you have friendships, you have bonds, you let go, you leave the cape of politics behind at the office, and you realize we're all fellow Americans. I mean, even I have neighbors that have been neighbors for 30 plus years, children growing up together, and most recent times of 2020 that they no longer speak. I mean, it really is, it's a cancer. We have a cancer that is growing, and the RNC and the DNC are continuing to feed this cancer. Yeah. And I believe it is time, if there's ever such a time as now is the time for us to create what I call a purple movement, in that we bring back the common sense to the politics. We bring back the power where it rests, and that is with the individuals, with the families, and bring back our civility. Because without civility, without that ability to agree to disagree, to be able to just openly speak and hear each other's opinions without having a feud, to bond rather than divide. My mother's worst fears of this country going down a path like she saw Cuba go in a very short time is what I am now fearful for. And so that is what I'm hoping to bring.
I totally agree with you. So we got to wrap this segment up. So
I'm sorry.
Purple politics. I know you didn't get to let me talk at all. This is going to be great. I love it. Hopefully once you'll invite me on to be your guest, because I got some good things to talk about on this, and I totally agree with you. You know, I'm from Detroit. My whole family was Democrat, Union. Now I'm down here in Texas, and you'd think I was the devil incarnate. The way I look at some things. So it's going to be awesome. So it's going to be Purple Politics. We're going to be able to see it here on Now Media, and we're looking forward to having you on some more.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to introduce myself, and I promise you next time I would love to hear your opinion as well. And I assure you, I'm going to have some friends that are currently in politics are going to be giving me a call after they hear this.
Yeah, they do that. That's what they do. Hey, but it's right. We need to do it, and we need to change the way things are going. This divisiveness isn't working. This hate isn't working. We've got to come to a way. We got to get back together. So, I appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing this show grow and the great thing that's going to happen. So, thanks a lot for being on today.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, this is Michael Rager, your business guide here on Biz Talk TV. We're going to be back with the Now Media Television and more business right after this.
Hey, Lily says AT&T is giving everyone their best deals.
Minus the air quotes.
Best deals.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Told you, the best deals are for everyone here, with a choice of plans.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
At AT&T, we give everyone our best deals on every smartphone.
Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager, and hey, we've got it. We're going to be talking law today with David Murphy. David, how are you today?
I am fabulous, sir, and you?
Oh, man, I couldn't, if I was any better, I just didn't know what I'd do with myself, man. So it's a great time. So we're going to talk a little bit today about, transferring and selling of businesses and going in within the family. How does that happen? How do we take a business that, maybe dad has owned and start moving it through the family?
Well, that's the most common maneuver from a small business is from one generation to the next. You know, grandpa started the business, dad took it over, and now the kids are looking at it. But the reality is that from a business perspective, you're still selling, even though it may be a gift, you're still transferring that business to a new owner. So you need to look at putting together the business structure for the sale as if it were going to a third party. I mean, you don't want to hand your kids a jumbled up mess for sure.
Yeah, I got a client right now that's doing that. You know, dad's owned the business for 24 years. Son's taking it over. The transfer's, you know, kind of moving from there. It's been good, but it's been long. And it happens. What kind of interesting things happen when you see that dynamics? Because one of the dynamics we see is, you know, maybe that fear of letting go and stuff like that. Do you see that when you're trying to transfer a business?
Absolutely. I mean, again, I don't think it matters if it's going from you to your children, yeah, or from you to John down the street. As a small business owner, it becomes your identity, and so letting go of that is difficult. The other part of being a small business owner is that a lot of it is inside that person's head. It becomes a cult of personality, and you can't always transition 100% of that information out of your mind to somebody else's. So that's the biggest thing we work with clients on a transition, again, whether it's a sale or a transition to your children, is do you have your SOPs mapped out? Do you have all your systems structured and written so that someone else can come in and do the same thing that you're doing? And then, especially in a generational transfer, working with that transfer and your clients to hand those things off, because again, small businesses, so much of it is a cult of personality. I know for my business personally, I talk to every one of my clients, and so a transition of my firm, my daughter wants to be an attorney. When she wants to take over the law firm, transitioning to her is going to be not only the systems and the knowledge, but helping her transfer into working with our legacy clients that we've been working with for years.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things I see is, you know, operating procedures, how a company operates, you know, who does what, how, why, what makes this happen. It's one of the things, though, if we really go ahead and get those things mapped out and we get them documented well, it can actually go ahead and increase the value of the business, can it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a business is a system. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have your system, then do you really have a business? Or, again, is it just a cult of personality situation? You know, you need to look at what is your structure put together? Do you have proper documentation? Are you looking at the insurances that you need? If you've got, you know, specific people that are critical in your business, do you have key man insurance to help bridge that gap if something were to happen to them, whether it's a death or a disability, and they're not able to function in the same format that they did? How is the business going to work through that transition? Do you have the money to hire somebody? How is that going to work? Do you have a plan in place for some sort of disability issue? I mean, in our business, we work with business owners in their succession plan for their business, but also for their family life. And one of the things that never gets talked about, I mean, no one wants to talk about death, but it happens, we realize it, but no one ever thinks about, what if I get hit by a bus and it doesn't kill me? I'm just disabled. How is that going to affect my family? How is that going to affect my business and the families that my businesses support? So working with our clients, trying to get squared away for those situations where you've got a transitional structure that people can move into, you've got catastrophe things put together for key man insurance or disability insurance that are going to help the company and those people financially transition through some sort of a challenge.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things. You know, I say I tell a story a lot when I'm teaching, especially when we're talking about this processes. And I was at an event a couple years ago, and this guy got up and he talked, and he said, "Hey, you know, I was over at Houston Country Club, and I was getting ready to line up this par putt on the 15th green, and the next thing that happened is I woke up 3 days later in Memorial Hermann Hospital, and I don't know what happened." And he realized that if I would have died that day, my business would have been gone, because even though I had partners, nobody knew what I do. My wife had no idea what to do, how we were going to go move everything. And all these insurance things, you're talking about, people don't like this. They don't like to think about those things. So how do you work with them, and how do you work with your clients and hold their hands and make them understand the importance of this? Because this is extremely important, David.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is getting that person, that business owner, who this has been all they are their entire life, getting them to realize that they need to focus on making this a business that could transition to a child or a third party. And that obviously, as we just said it earlier, getting your systems documented, having everything written down, how your systems and procedures work, who your main clients are, how they've been worked with, and so that it's not all in just one person's head, and then start talking about, okay, what does a transition look like, especially for the business owner? It's scary. This has been my entire being. How do I walk away from this? And usually that's some sort of a transitional plan with a structured management out. Dad's going to stay involved. Mom's going to stay involved for the next 2 or 3 years while the transition works. That there's also a transition in the income from being the sole person who's maybe getting a salary from the business, plus you're taking your profit distributions. If all that stops instantly without some sort of transition, it can be catastrophic for a family.
Yeah, we're looking at that with the one of the families I'm working with right now is, dad is like, hey, let me out, and mom doesn't want to let go. And the son's wife is like, man, mom's got to go. It's kind of interesting there. So when business owners are getting close and they're thinking about this, we should be looking at this, 5 years out, David?
At least. I mean, oddly, it seems like people are coming to me, I want to sell it tomorrow. And it's like, well, wait, time out. We should have been talking about this, a minimum of 3 to 5 years ago, getting all these pieces put in place, making sure that it's not all stuck in your head, that you've trained other people to do the things that you do. Because if you walk away and you don't do these things, you're pushing the business off the edge of a cliff. It's doomed to fail. So again, getting your plan in place, getting your systems documented, making sure that your mission and vision plans are written out for transition, and that the staff and the new management are going to understand that and keep that structure and position moving forward with your clients. You don't want to upend your client's experience either, because then you lose those clients. It's never too soon to start thinking about what happens and how does this business transition. I know you and I have talked about this. A lot of business coaches will tell business owners, when do I start planning on selling it? The minute that you start it is when you start planning for the sale. Yeah,
that's what I do. I tell my clients, you build it to sell it now, because the statistics show that like 98% of businesses are not sold because they want to. It's because they have to, and we don't know when that have to is coming. So we need to be prepared so we don't end up on the short end of the stick. So David, if people want to get a hold of you and start this discussion, how do they do that?
We can be reached on the web at murphyslawpllc.com. You can catch us in the office at 281-475-2022, or shoot us an email at firm@murphyslawpllc.com.
Well, David, man, it's great talking to you as always. I can't wait till you're back in town so we can go hang out and make some of these things happen for some of your clients. So I'm Michael Rager, your business guide here on NowMedia TV. We're going to be back with more right after this. Hey, are you a small business owner that's struggling to double or triple your revenue and profits? My name is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide with Teach Your Business to Fish. Our success operating system will help you double or triple your profits every 2 to 3 years while actually maintaining some semblance of a home life. Call us at 713-201-5559 and we'll help you become a real success. Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager, here on the NowMedia Television Network. So joining us once again is Linda Chung. Linda, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Good to be back.
All right, Linda. So the topic we're going to talk about today is children's education and saving for it. So what's the best way parents can save for their children's education?
Okay, so saving money, college education is probably one of the biggest children's expenses, right? And it's I don't know. So I was talking with a friend of mine and he said something, it's like 40,000 a year for college tuition in a private school. Now which has gone up a lot since I went to college, and I'm not going to say how long ago that was, but it's going up and it's very likely to continue going up. So one of the things that you can plan more effectively if you leverage the time that you have to save for college. So they say, when's the best time to plant a tree? Like 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. So similar with planning and saving for children's education. One of the things that you can do if you have young kids, under 5, if you can take advantage of having a lot of years before they go to college, then you can really invest a little bit each month and be able to have that grow over time. And one of the more popular options out there are different plans. Some of them I would say are very specific for college plans. Personally, I don't. There are drawbacks and benefits and drawbacks to each of them. Some of the other plans out there, they're very specific for college. And sometimes you don't even know if your children are going to go to college, and it can only be used for tuition. And what if they get a scholarship? Then they don't need tuition and it can't be used for anything else. So there's, plans like that. And other plans that it affects the family situation, if their income and if they can qualify for financial aid or not. So it really depends on each family situation. But one of the plans that can be very affordable, provided you start young enough with children when they're really young, something is like $100 or maybe $200 a month. And it's using the leverage and power of insurance. So therefore, the growth in these products grow tax-free. And it's called IUL, or Indexed Universal Life, where you put in a little bit each month, and then that the plan or the money in that program compounds and grows over the many, many years. And that also doesn't count as far as a family's financial picture. So families can still qualify for financial aid using those, and even if they have money saved in that. And oftentimes we design that with their younger kids so that by the time they graduate from college, they can still take out student loans, but then also be able to pay back those student loans through these IULs, and then also provide retirement income for their children. And those are popular because usually you just fund it for maybe 20 years or so, and then it can help pay for college expenses. And it's also very flexible because it can, if your children maybe decide not to go to college, then they can be used to maybe start a business or buy a home. It's not restricted for college. So that's why also it's very popular, because it's a lot more flexible and can be used really for anything, where the policy is on the child and the parent is the owner and the parent is the payor. And therefore, the other benefit also is that your children have pretty much guaranteed coverage. Don't know if anything happens to them. They might develop something, a condition, and they're, insurable at a very young age, and they'll have that for so long as they keep paying on the policy, really, for the rest of their life. And at least through the key periods of their life, with the biggest expenses being college. And then oftentimes that you can also generate income from that, and retirement. So that's very popular because it's very flexible and you have the advantage of time. Another option for families that maybe didn't start some college planning or saving right away, and their kids are maybe 10, 15 years old, that can also, there's some things that you can do, and it depends on, again, family situation. But there are, it's a concept that it's been around for a while. And it's been called infinite banking, or it's be your own bank sometimes it's referred to, or it's a kind of special life insurance that you can take loans against. So you can fund those, and you can really overfund them depending on your budget as well. And those can really develop significant tax-free growth over a period of time. And, you do have to qualify for it from a health perspective. So usually the parent is the insured, and it has to also make sense from a financial case as well. I just want to, this is not a one size fits all. It's not financial advice, and just talking about a product that's very popular with families that want to basically either pay off their debts, including their mortgage, quicker, or build tax-free growth. And they're making good income, and they want it to be in something that will grow. And also at the same time, they don't want to be putting it into the stock market because that is risky and there's no guarantee in principle, but they want it to be accessible. So they don't want to lock it into something that they might not have access to. So this is a very popular option because it hits a lot of those. It's tax-free growth. It is accessible. You can, you put into the program, you can contribute a certain amount up to a certain amount each month or on an annual basis. And then the insurance company will pay you some amount of guaranteed interest, as well as dividends on top of that. And then you can take a loan up to 90% of the cash value that's in that program. So it's also very accessible. So that's also very popular for people that are saving for college, very popular for real estate investors, as well as business owners who can help manage the cash flow better, because you have your money that's safe, secure. You can't lose your money, but it's also doing something more than what would be in a typical savings account, but also it's very accessible. And with those programs, they're typically designed where really in up to years maybe 5 through 7, the dividends and interest grow. And really that's when your money is really making more money. And those are very popular options. So that can help not only with college education, but like I said, pay off debts and also build more tax-free retirement.
What else can people do to protect their assets and make sure that they and their family have the adequate amount of life insurance coverage?
So the mitigating risk, everyone wants to protect your assets. Generally, the strategy of the top 1% and the rich that stay rich is because they don't own anything but control everything, and meaning the assets in their business. And you can do that in several different ways. One of the things too is to have the proper legal structure. So if you have a business, you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping your business separate from your personal. So that's would protect that, and they couldn't go after your personal assets. So having the proper legal structure. Another thing is that assets that you own and businesses that you have, you can also protect them in the form of a trust as well. Sometimes people that own quite a bit of, say, assets that they don't want, maybe we work with a lot of real estate investors. You want to have and separate real estate property into a separate trust so that they cannot go, if there's an issue with one, say, multifamily unit, then, they can't go after other ones if that ownership is in the form of a trust. So really being able to separate from a legal perspective will help protect your assets. And obviously having adequate insurance in place. You want to have proper insurance for assets that you own. There's property and casualty, similar to homeowners. You want to make sure that if anything happens to the property in case of fire or damage to the property, that you have something recoverable in case of that. And similar with businesses, depending on your business, you want to make sure that you have adequate insurance. Errors and omissions is really key for, certain types of businesses, as well as property and casualty. And really to make sure, also one of the biggest things, especially with service industries, if your business is really about you and your services that you provide, you really want to make sure that there's adequate insurance on the person who's doing all the work. It could be the owners, it could be founding close-knit families. You want to make sure key personnel, maybe key salespeople also. Sometimes it's known as key man insurance. You really want to protect, because God forbid if something happens to a key property or a key person that is instrumental in your business, you don't want your business to all of a sudden come to a screeching halt. So that's something that we also help business owners with, because really, yes, they're hard assets, but actually most often and more often not, the biggest asset in one's business is the person running the business, the owner or the founder.
Well, excellent, Linda. Well, if people wanted to get a hold of you, how will they do that?
Probably the best way would be to contact me on Instagram, send me a DM. My Instagram is linda.chung.official. And if you send it, you know me through the NowMedia, then I'll respond back and look forward to helping more families, whatever, with insurance and getting out of debt and planning, things like that. And also another way too is through my website, chungfinancialservices.com. It has my contact information and more about how we protect families and help them build their wealth and get them debt-free.
Well, awesome, Linda. Thanks a lot. We appreciate all that great financial information. I'm Michael Rager, your business guide. We're going to be back with more Biz Talk TV right after this.
Working through the legal system is challenging and risky, especially if you don't have the right attorney at your side. Hi, my name is Sonia Aston, and I'm an attorney with over 30 years of experience. I've helped small and medium-sized businesses and business owners to make sure that their legal rights and interests are protected. As general counsel for you and your organization, I can draft and review solid contracts, minimize the risk of litigation, review and prepare comprehensive business succession plans, or help you navigate your company with the local, state, and federal government. Take a decisive step today. I'm here to make sure your legal rights are protected and you have a peace of mind that you deserve.
Hey, welcome back. What a show. It's very interesting today. We went around the horn kind of today as we see it as business owners. We talked a lot about a lot of things. We started, talking with Kat. We talked a little bit about potential. We talked about our new show that's coming up, Purple Politics. I mean, that was just amazing. And that is going to be a great show. I'm looking so forward to that and seeing how we dig in and what's going to happen and how we address the political climate going forward. We talked with our new guest today, Amar, and we talked a little bit about, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting. This is what happens when you get old and you get gray hair. We started talking about supply chain and logistics and what happens. David Murphy came in and we started talking about selling your business, and Linda Chung, of course, talking a little bit about financials. And that's what it's about. What we talked about in the beginning of the show was strategy, and everything we talked about today came into a strategy, and these are the things we got to look at, whether it's our supply chain strategy, whether it's our financial strategy, whether it's our exit strategy for our business. We always have to be looking at strategies to run our business, and that's what it's about. So we're hoping that you can join us. I'm telling you, if you're out here in Houston, you got to come out and see us. Whiteboards and Whiskey, we've got that coming on. It's not going to be the first Wednesday of the month coming into July, because that's going to be July 5th. We're going to have hungover people, and we don't want to really go, get them whiskey again. So we're going to be doing it the next week. It's going to be on July 12th. Come out and visit us. But hey, we've got something really cool coming up on Labor Day. We call it Training in Tuna Town. We're going to be taking 5 business owners out for 2 days of tuna fishing, and we're going to go have a great time. We're going to go run over a whole bunch of business concepts. We're going to catch a whole lot of great big tuna fish, and we're going to have ourselves a great, great, great time. There it is. You see it on the screen, the whiteboards and whiskey. Come join us. It's going to be great. It's a lot of fun. And, you know, we're really growing this business. So you're going to start seeing us in other towns. We're going to be out in Pensacola next week. We got things coming up in Miami, Dallas,